Good morning. I'm trying to do something a little different here, trying to splice a couple pieces of video together. So please bear with me for this. Hopefully it'll work.
Turbidity is known as the cloudiness of water. The Environmental Protection Agency uses turbidity as a measure of clarity for drinking water. A sample of deionized water has a turbidity of 0, whereas a sample of formazan is a standard solution and has a turbidity of 100 MTU, while a sample of runoff water has an unknown turbidity and can be determined using the following apparatus.
After placing the cuvette and pressing the play button, infrared light is shown into the sample and scatters off the particles in all directions. The detector, placed at a 90-degree angle, measures in volts how much light is thrown into it.
The important thing to include is an understanding of what those turbidity measures mean. The lower the turbidity number, the lower the turbidity, the more easily you can see through it. The higher the turbidity number, the more turbid it is, so the more difficult it will be to see through it. Good morning again. This tool that you're going to have the opportunity to use is called a Vernier Lab Quest. It's a kind of handheld computer thing that allows you to do all sorts of testing, and these are just the one that you're going to be doing today is just one of many that it can do. It can test the temperature. I think we used it in science class before, and it can also test pH. It can test water conductivity. It can do a lot of things, but let me just show you how this particular this particular test works. When you come up to the table, you'll see all of these things. You'll see the turbidity sensor. You'll see the turbidity blank. You don't want to try and open this. It is one that we need and that comes from the company. I've already prepared one sample, but it's really not my sample. It's the blank. It's going to be one of the comparative tools that this machine will calibrate itself to, so that we can ultimately test our Fenton River and well water turbidity with. So this is the thing. When you come up to it, like I said, it's all plugged in and the battery is no good really, so it's plugged in. There is a stylus that you'll find in the back that you're going to have to pull out to be able to use. So to turn it on, you push this button on the top left-hand side, and you'll see the screen looks like this. Okay. So a number is already up there. We don't want that number. We're going to start all over. So if you click the red part, you'll see that you have two options. One is 0 and one is calibrate. You're going to click on calibrate. And then a new screen comes up. It looks like this. At that point, I'm going to take this blank, and it has some sort of special chemical in it. You can see that on the glass part there's an arrow. That arrow needs to be lined up with the arrow on the sensor. And I think I got it. Close that. And then on the Lab Quest, you need to click Calibrate Now. And then I want to enter the number 100, and I know the glare is bad. 100 over there. And then this is the part that I had a difficult time with several times. Tough to see here, but you want to click that word keep. If I keep it, then you see it jumps, the cursor jumps over to the other side of the screen. And this is where I'm going to put my other sample in. So I'm going to take this one out. Excuse my runny nose. I'm in my basement and it's cold. This is distilled water, and it has to be filled up just right, so that the meniscus, remember we talked about that in science, the meniscus is at the top of that line. And then you're going to place this in the turbidity sensor. Again, lining up those arrows. Closing the lid. Then finishing the calibration. You can see my cursor is splashing there. This I'm going to type in 0. And I'm going to say keep and say OK. So far, so good. Now I have to pause this to get my other sample. Okay, I have prepared my other sample. Really, all I did was I got some dirt from a flower pot and put it in with the water. But you're going to use your sample that you've been given to test the turbidity. So again, it tells you to use a lint-free cloth. This is not one. To wipe it off. I'll try my best to do that. I've already done it a little bit, so I think I'm okay. And then it tells me to invert this 4 times. 1. You don't want to shake it because you get all kinds of bubbles. And we don't want bubbles. And then I'm going to put it in my turbidity sensor. Again, lining up the arrows. And then I'm going to let it sit. And there are a lot of things that you can do with this. And feel free to kind of play around with it. You're supposed to let it sit for 3 minutes. I'm not going to let it sit quite that long. You can see now, because the water is settling inside of there, the turbidity level is going down. So if we were to obviously shake up the water, it would be relatively turbid and its appearance would not be aesthetically pleasing. Remember, that was one of the qualities that we were looking for. If we let it sit for our 3-minute time, then we will see the turbidity actually go down. I can sit here and wait for 3 minutes, but I am really not going to do that. So this is the Vernier Lab Quest. This is the turbidity test that allows you to test the turbidity of the water. You can see the labeling that we're using is NTU. That is a turbidity measurement. It's very much like, I think it's called the Jackson turbidity units, but they've adjusted them a little bit. So we'll talk more about that in class. After you've waited your 3 minutes, you're going to record this number, and then you're going to remove your sample. Remove your sample, and you'll take this container. You can see that that's settled down pretty much. You're going to take this sample, rinse it out, dry it out, and put everything back on the table the way you found it for the next group to use. So hopefully this has been informational and interesting, and we'll be using these some more as the year goes on. But now if you can pass the little Google test, you'll be able to use the Vernier Lab Quest for this activity. Make sure you turn it off. Turn off. And then there's the place for the sensor in the back. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.
Piece left. After you've taken the quiz, probably before you take the quiz, you want to write down the steps of the process, all the way from turning on the machine to the calibration to cleaning up, all those pieces, because you're going to want those when you actually do the test. So I will let you know before we do the actual turbidity test on whatever day we're going to do it on, hopefully Monday, whether or not you have passed the Google test. And then if you have passed the Google test, you should show me your written steps whether they're in your online notebook or whether they're on a piece of paper. If you've done that, then I'll let you use the turbidity tester. And it'll be just you, not your group members, just you. So look for that test along with this YouTube video. Good luck.